Employers' mindsets are changing as it relates to their recruiting approach and the people they desire to fill vacant positions. Furthermore, if you wanted to go as far as to say that they're putting more of an emphasis on people rather than a traditional resume, you wouldn't get much of an argument from me. According to a recent July 2023 survey conducted by LinkedIn of over 5,000 employers, it found employers are favoring the soft skills of teamwork, leadership, and someone's ability to set a course of direction rather than being told what to do by their superior by an astounding and staggering percentage of 92%. LinkedIn also says hiring managers choose between 5 to 10 resumes to proceed to an actual interview stage, which means that only between 10 and 20% of resumes get through an applicant tracking system, and 80 to 90% of them get thrown out by human review, which makes it incredibly important that applicants ensure that they demonstrate their personality beyond their resume. This is good news and music to the ears of my friend Jordan Goure. He's the CEO and president of Picsume. It's a platform that eliminates the need for a resume through the creation of live dynamic work profiles containing relevant, pertinent, and only verified information. Their proprietary technology exacts current job postings to their platform, pairing the ideal candidate with employers through curated opportunities across Canada. And Goure joined me this week to tell me how his platform is revolutionizing the recruiting process and how it'll change the future of work. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So with that, Jordan, I'll welcome you to the program, my friend, and I'm super excited to learn about Picsume this afternoon and how it's revolutionizing the way we look at resumes and the whole job interview process. Great to see you this afternoon, my friend, and thank you so very much for being here.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And I mean, you introed it well. Yeah, we're changing the way things are done in the workforce. So at Picsume, we call ourselves a future of work company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's a platform that creates live and dynamic work profiles and focuses only on the talent of a person rather than the traditional resume, my friend. So tell me all about the platform and what makes it so fabulous.
Yeah, so Picsume in essence we're a hiring platform that, like you were touching on there, we eliminated the need for a conventional resume through the creation of live dynamic work profiles, and that's what we like to call a Picsume. And then on the other side, we also have proprietary tech that we basically scrape the internet for any active job postings in any regions that we launch our technology in. And we bring those opportunities right to our platform. So anyone that creates a Picsume can enter the workforce and they can start applying for jobs right after they build their profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk to me about the sense of sort of security and confidence that the platform provides, considering it gets rid of the traditional resume and the way that we traditionally look at hiring and retaining talent. My friend, tell me your thoughts there.
Yeah, so what we found, I mean, early on, when we were trying to rework how people entered the workforce, and one of the issues that we found, and myself being in business for about 17 years, and I've owned a lot of different companies from small up to medium-sized businesses. I've always been hiring, right? And I've always had this issue of access to staff. So one of the issues that we identified that really out of the gate was the resume was the issue. It's a piece of paper. It's actually been used for hundreds and hundreds of years. 1400s, Leonardo da Vinci actually used the first resume. So we thought, why are people still using paper copies with words on them to represent who they are in the workforce when technology has advanced so far? So we set out to do something crazy, and that was fully change how people were going to enter the workforce and get away from this antiquated process of using a piece of paper to reflect and identify who you are as a person in the workforce. So that's how we came up with the Picsume profile. And as you said, really, we believe in a merit system, right? People that should be getting the jobs, they should be getting the jobs because they're qualified for the job, because they have the ambition and the purpose, and they want to get into the workforce and they want to complete this job. So there shouldn't be bias in hiring. There shouldn't be employers that are using technology to weed through resumes and just find exactly what they're looking for with some sort of bias metric. So it should only be based on the user, so the candidate, and the experience and the things they've completed and why they're good for the job. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the connection there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that the platform also allows small and medium-sized businesses to track their applicants that are applying for their jobs. So tell me about the applicant tracking system and how it's been a benefit to small businesses in particular.
Yeah, well, exactly as you said. So applicant tracking systems aren't really new technology, but they are relatively new for small and medium-sized companies. So in the past, I would post a job. Let's say this would be my experience as a small company hiring. I'd post a job on a job board, and then I'd maybe get 100 resumes sent to my email inbox, or sometimes 1,000. So this is an issue. Now I manually, as a small business owner, have to go through these 1,000 resumes and try to find the people that I want to interview and try to figure out who they are just based on this piece of paper. So that's a big time issue. It's very tedious, and it just doesn't work. So with Picsume, what we do is when you get Picsume profiles sent to you, we already start to organize them for you. So if people have applied to the job, or if you found them and you went and found the candidate, if you're interviewing them, or if you've hired them for the job and sent them a shift, and you can go through and you can search through all these Picsume profiles. Since we have structured data, so all of the data from your resume that created your Picsume profile is all structured. I can search through a search query and I can find people that are relevant to the job that I'm hiring for quickly. So that's in essence what an applicant tracking system does. This technology has existed for large company and large enterprise for a while now, but it hasn't existed for smaller companies because it's too expensive. So HR tools generally are very expensive, so small companies can't afford them. So we've made this free for all of our small businesses that join our platform. They can join in, and they can use our applicant tracking system innately just built into our software. So we're pretty excited about that. And then I wanted to answer one of your questions from previous too, is user security. So again, security top of mind, and I think it should be nowadays. And with our Picsume profile, so they're encrypted, they're on a secure virtual database storage, and we're actually taking it a step further in the future. We're starting to encrypt your personal identifiable information. And what this does is it not only secures your profile for you, but it also takes bias out of the hiring when you're using the applicant tracking system to find the user. So a lot of information there, I know, but that's how it works.
Yeah, so I wanted, Jordan, I now wanted to ask you about the whole idea of inclusivity. As you know, my friend, I have cerebral palsy, and I work with businesses to amplify the hiring of folks with disabilities. And you know, when I talk to certain people with disabilities, when it comes to the job application process, they're afraid of disclosing the fact that they have a disability, and I think in some token, it may be a disadvantage for them during the hiring process. So tell me, how do you think Picsume can help folks with disabilities feel included in the recruitment process and having them get the best shot to get their desired job if they use the platform? Tell me your view on inclusivity as it relates to folks with disabilities and the job process, my friend.
Yeah, you'd probably be surprised to hear. So this is the second time this question's actually just came up this week. So earlier this week, we were meeting with one of the local not-for-profit agencies that helps people with disabilities enter the workforce, and we were meeting with them to give them access to our software for free. Because as you just said and you pointed out, it is scary. It's scary to build a resume. It's scary to try to figure out what you need to put down, and then you don't feel included if you're not representing yourself properly with your resume. So one of the local agencies reached out to us and they said, we've seen your process. It's a lot easier to build a Picsume profile than it is to build a resume. One example is we have like conversational style onboarding. So as opposed to having to type up a bunch of words that represent you, we just ask questions and then you would answer yes or no to some of these questions, and this would help us build your profile. We also look at soft skills. So if you have some skills associated, I mean, yourself, for example, you have a popular podcast, you're obviously a creative person. These are things that might not show up on a traditional resume, but it would show up on a Picsume. So really, you're sharing a picture of who you are in the workforce, and that's the good, the bad, and everything in between. And this is what you're giving yourself a full picture to the employer. And this is what we believe is going to lead to more exclusivity in workforce, is just painting a picture of who you really are. Because there's a lot of people out there that want to work with people with disabilities, and they want to give them opportunities, and they don't even know that those are the people that they're interviewing. So we really like to put information first.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan, I know that you're part of the board for We Tech Alliance, my friend, and as we both know, that organization spends a lot of time talking about innovation and business and how it's interconnected. So I'm curious about how you view the concept of innovation and why it's important for you to be involved with We Tech Alliance, my friend.
Yeah, so you're right. So I'm an advisor to the WeTech board there, and honestly, we're lucky to have such a great agency in our region. So WeTech is really changing the game for tech in our community. Whereas you used to maybe have to look at Waterloo or other populated areas of Canada if you wanted to launch a tech company, WeTech's making it possible for everyone to do it right here through supports that they offer, whether it's mentorship and types of things that I'd be happy to offer with them in the future. There's a lot of different funding and different programs you can get into with them. So WeTech's awesome. So one of the reasons I think it's important to support that board is because that board's supporting our entire tech community. So the fact that they're doing awesome things, I'm just proud to be a part of being a cog in that wheel, helping them extend their reach and do awesome things for more entrepreneurs that want to start tech in our region. Because as I'm sure you agree, Windsor-Essex is a great region to live, work. You shouldn't have to leave our region for any reason, and certainly not to start a tech company.
Yeah, absolutely. And just tell me, buddy, what are your views on innovation and why it's important for businesses to embrace innovation, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't innovate and you're not always changing or updating or getting current with the times, I mean, you usually are left by the wayside, right? Especially in business. I mean, in a post-pandemic world, everyone has to be efficient. Everyone's seeing all of these. I mean, every day you're reading about inflation and all of these budgetary restraints on people. So if you're not increasing your efficiency in business, you're likely not going to be around a long time. So I believe innovation is one of the keys to efficiency. So that's a key there. And the same token, just being a person that embraces innovation, and you're always learning and you're always getting better at what you do and you're always growing as a person, I think that's just important, not just for a business owner, but for anybody. So innovation should be the pillar of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Jordan, I'm curious to ask you about your best piece of advice for job seekers who are looking to put their best foot forward into the market. How do you think they can stand out, my friend?
Yeah, well, Kevin, I mean, this is an easy one. They have to go build a Picsume profile, right?
I figured you might say that, right?
Yeah, that's the best way to stand out. And I'm going to take it one step further. So not only are they going to stand out, But most job seekers don't realize when they're submitting their resumes, they're already going into machine reading or artificial intelligence mapping systems. So big companies are already not reading the first read of their resumes. They're using machines to do so, and their resumes are not optimized for that. But Picsume's are. So every month we test against the market leading systems that large enterprises using to make sure that they're being read properly, they're formatted properly, and the information that needs to be there is there. So just by using a Picsume profile, you're more likely to get into a hiring manager's hands. That's what we're always testing. We're staying up to date on. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, that's how they stand out.
yeah, absolutely. And Jordan, I'm curious to ask you your opinion on what do you think it would mean for an employer to think outside of the box and really embrace diversity as a competitive advantage, my friend? What do you think that means to you?
It's not only that they should think of diversity as a competitive advantage, they should think of it as a norm, right? Like we live in a world now where everyone should be given equal opportunities. So I don't see it as a competitive advantage anymore. I see it as if you're not thinking outside the box and you're not giving everyone opportunities to join your organization, then you're not operating properly. And not only are you not being competitive, but you're just not even competing at all. So that's one thing. And the second part, I mean, how do you view it, right? As a person with a disability, you wouldn't even be interested in a company that doesn't have inclusivity as one of their pillars of their hiring, right? So you as a candidate and as a person that has a lot to bring to that company probably wouldn't even approach the company to work for them unless you knew this about the company. So I think it's good for companies to market themselves that they're being inclusive and not just to. So it's easy to. I think the way to say is practice what you preach. You know, if you talk the talk, walk the walk, market that you're inclusive and market that you're willing to offer opportunities to anyone that comes to your company.
Yeah, and don't tell me, where does your own individual sense of creativity come from, my friend? Because you seem to be a creative person. So where does that come from, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, my thought of where it comes from, like in an individual, honestly, I mean, creativity is one of the exciting and most unique things that makes us human. So I don't think any of us know truly where it comes from. I always like to say, so my brother is actually one of the co-founders of our company. He's a creative, so he's our chief creative officer. I'm our chief executive officer. I'm our president. We've always been two sides of the brain, is what I like to say. So I'm more financial minded, analytical, and my brother's always actually been the creative and the more design and artistic brother. So honestly, I think every person has their own things to offer, and you can be creative. I'm creative in user interface and software development and in business creation, strategy, and development. My brother's creative in design and in all different actual artistic elements. So I think everyone has something they can be creative in and creative with. Where it comes from, I don't know, but I think embracing your creativity is an important thing. So I'm happy that you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Jordan and I have an identical twin brother, and I always tell him that he got the smarts and I got the good looks, okay?
That's awesome. I didn't know you had an identical twin. That's exciting. You always have someone to share your life with.
For better or for worse, right? And don't tell me, I know that you are passionate about wine, my friend. One of the things that you do as a hobby and one of the things you're interested in. So tell me, where does that passion come from, my friend?
Yeah, so not just passionate about wine. I mean, I love wine. I love to drink it on Friday nights. Try to keep it just to the one night a week because obviously busy working, building companies all week. But not just passionate. I actually own a winery as well. So I own Vin Winery, Brew Microbrewery, and Wedding in the Woods, which is an event company in Windsor, Essex. So I started beverage manufacturing about just over a decade ago. So we saw a lot of success. We sell it to LCBOs province wide. So yeah, it's not just a hobby. It's actually another one of my businesses that I do own. And it's because of those businesses and the limitations of finding staff that put me on the path to get into building a workforce software that meets the needs of hourly workers of all the people that I hire at my other companies. And so as opposed to just hitting my head off my keyboard and saying, this sucks and there's no good tools to find people for the companies that I own, I decided to build a tool that would help people enter the hourly workforce. So they're actually connected. My hobbies, my passion, and my business, they're all connected. And I think that's why you'll see that the success usually comes from being passionate about what you're working in.
Well, I tell you, Jordan, I always say if you find work that you're passionate about, you don't work a day in your life, right?
You're absolutely correct.
Absolutely. Jordan, to that point, how do you define professional passion? What do you think that means to you?
Well, I mean, you just described it as you're not working a day in your life. I like to when I give some advice to up and coming entrepreneurs or students. I used to teach a little bit. I'd always tell them entrepreneurship and passion leads to being able to set your own destiny. So what I mean by that is not just it's not working 90 day in my life, but I decide what I'm going to do every day. I decide what I'm going to do in a year or in 5 years. I'm always setting goals. So by turning your passion into what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you get to define what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So you're passionate all the time. You're always being creative, as you said earlier. You're always building and you're always creating. So it's. I mean, there's so many. It's a big answer there, right? It's destiny. It's defining what you get to do on a daily basis. That's what passion leads to if you can find success with what you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan, I want to talk to you about professional balances. Someone that owns multiple businesses and you're in the business realm every day. What do you think is the key to achieving a professional balance between work and also making sure that you're mentally fit to attack life as well, my friend? So, what do you think is the key to achieving professional balance?
Uh, well, I mean, the answer is in the question there. So the key point to it is balance. It's not, and it's believing in balance. I mean, I work a lot of hours. I would say my average work week, and in most business, people are working in the 60 to 80 hour work weeks. My point is I have balance in between. So I don't just have a normal work day where I'm working 9 to 5 and then I'm going home and I'm eating dinner and being with my wife and my son. Instead of that, I'm working pretty much all the time. I'm always getting back to emails. I'm always doing meetings. I'm always checking in on things. But in between, in the free time in between, I find time blocks throughout the day. So I like to exercise at least an hour a day. I think exercise is very important to balance and healthy living. I like to get at least my 6 hours of sleep a night. 6 to 8, I think, is a good realm. And then, I mean, you'd have to ask my wife this one, but I think I think your partners feel they feel the strain of that you're working a lot. So if you're not balanced, I think it can be a strain on relationships as well. So I think it's key to be balanced both in your work and that helps balance in your personal life, right? If you're balancing professional life, it helps you be balanced in your personal life.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
Proper diet, I'd like to say too, right? You can't, even though you're busy and you're running meeting to meeting, you can't be grabbing chips every time you want to take a snack. I love chips, but you can't be grabbing fried foods every time you need to have a snack. You need to kind of plan ahead. So I have an apple core here with me. Actually, just finished an apple before this meeting to give me a little energy for this talk.
Yeah, everything in moderation, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Even wine.
Yeah, well, of course. And, Jordan, I know we're both Windsorites, my friend. So tell me about what you think makes Windsor a unique um, community to work, live, and do business, my friend. What do you think makes Windsor and Essex a unique place to do business and to live, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so Windsor Essex holds a special place in my heart. So I actually grew up just about an hour away. I was born in Blenheim, so a small town of about 4,000 people. So even further in the county than Essex, I like to tell my friends here. So I moved to Windsor for university because it was the big city. It was right down the 401, an hour away. And so I came here to do my undergrad at the University of Windsor. And I always had family in the area here as well. So I lived in Windsor a lot in my childhood in the summers and I always loved it. It was always the big city to me. It wasn't I needed to go to Toronto for the big city. Windsor was a big city because I grew up in such a small town. So one of the things that makes it special though is we do have a lot of people. We're growing. I mean, in our entire uh, surrounding communities now, I think we're 300 to 400,000. It never feels like that. You never feel not in touch with your fellow people in the area, right? So that's what I think one of the biggest and most special things about Windsor Essex is it's got the small town feel, even though it's got all the big town amenities. You've got Detroit where you can go over and go to a lot of big sporting events. I mean, our shopping, our dining, our restaurants, our wine region, our manufacturing, our distilleries, everything's awesome. We have top-notch services like a large city, but you have the small town feel. I get to talk to gentlemen like yourself, Kevin, in Windsor, whereas in Toronto, we probably wouldn't even know each other. We'd be faceless people. We'd never reach out to each other. But in Windsor, I mean, we get to make this connection, and I hope we stay in touch after this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just before I ask you about your life and legacy, my friend, I'm also curious to ask you about, you know, uh, many employers go through thousands of resumes a year, and I'm curious to ask you about your final message to employers about the whole idea of embracing the new way of recruiting. And what I mean by that is looking beyond the resume. And I know you spend a large deal of time helping job seekers do that. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on, how looking beyond the resume can be an asset to the employer as well.
Well, the first I think I've already touched on it is saving them time, right? Like employers have a lot of things to do. You got to market your company, you got to fiscally operate it responsibly. I mean, your recruitment is just one part of operating a company. So by looking beyond the resume and using Picsume, we're saving your time. So we like to say time to hire is much quicker. So that's one big part of what we're offering employers. And another is I mean, the entire theme of this conversation is innovation, right? If you're not innovating and you're not changing your business practices, then you're not growing. So by looking beyond the resume, by using Pixmate profiles, you're taking the first step into being a future of work company. And you're going to be dealing with better applicants. You're going to open up more time for yourself. And you get to market your company to people that want to work for your company as opposed to just posting a job on a job board.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan, my final question for you this afternoon has to do with your own individual and personal legacy, my friend. So, how do you want your personal and professional legacy to be defined?
Yeah, the legacy. So, I mean, honestly, I think legacy should be defined of what you do for others, not just what you do and what you achieve in your own life. So I'm hoping that we can help a lot of people get into the workforce. I hope we change workforce in Canada. I mean, as a country, I would like to have a legacy of that we made Canada a country that could evolve and our workforce was more efficient. The people that should get the jobs, every employer became more inclusive and non-biased in their hiring. I would be very proud in today if I had a small piece of making that Canada's legacy. That not only are we a culturally inclusive country, which we already are, but we're a workforce inclusive country, and everyone that should be getting the jobs they're getting are getting them, and we're a fully efficient, fine-tuned country. I think it would increase our productivity as a country. I think it'd share the wealth, and I would like part of that to be my legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Father Jordan, tell me if people want to get connected to Pixel or you personally, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, so you can just go to pixame.ca or pixame.com. I mean, it's pretty easy. Within 3 to 5 minutes, you can complete a Pixame profile. If you have a resume, we have parsing tech that'll actually build the profile for you. You just have to upload your resume and it'll convert it into a Pixame for you. So I would check out one of our websites. I'm always available to talk to anyone that has questions or any media that wants to see what's going on with our company, that we're changing things in the workforce. So you can contact me at jordan@pixame.ca anytime you want to talk to me, the president, directly. But yeah, I mean, we're a workforce company. We're part of the workforce. We're always here to work with the workforce and work with people looking for jobs. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to connect with us. You can check us out on Instagram as well, social media. We've got a great TikTok account that's going on now. So search Pixame on Google. You'll find us, connect with me, and let's change the workforce together.
Well, Jordan, as you know, I spend a great deal of time talking about workplace diversity and inclusion, and this is certainly a new and innovative tool to help in that mission, my friend. So I want to thank you for the good work that you do to promote workplace diversification and for agreeing to engage in conversation with me this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Yeah, I've loved our time. I appreciate it. Like I said, thanks for having me on your show, Kevin. And yeah, share a link or an embed to this podcast as well. We'll get it up in our blog section on Picsume as well.